Welcome, everyone. We'll call to order this meeting on August 15th at 6 p.m. We will dismiss Commissioner Sakovich as he's unable to attend due to health. He's been struggling with some health issues this year. So I will suspend Robert's rules so that I can second the motion to go into public hearing at that time. We typically start these meetings with a prayer reading or thought, followed by the pledge. Eldon Packer is going to give us a prayer, and then Judge Patton will lead us in the pledge. Thank you.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this opportunity which we have to meet and discuss the needs of the county and look to the future. And we ask that a special blessing be upon the commissioners, that they might make good decisions and do it so with forethought and wisdom. And we ask thee to bless each member here that they might be able to receive those things that they need. We say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Eldon.
Would you like to rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, before we run into the public hearing, Ezra Nair, our county administrator, is going to give us a run through of what we're doing.
Okay, Mr. Chair, citizens of the county, welcome to the county's Truth and Taxation public hearing. My name is Ezra Nair. I'm the county administrator for Utah County, like Commissioner Gordon said. My role here, just day to day, is to support the commission and the departments accomplish their goals. So that means day to day I'm involved in a little bit of everything from public safety all the way to public health, and I receive real-time insights into the needs of the departments as they seek to carry out their duties. We're going to touch on some of the highlights of the county operations today and some of the main struggles that they're facing and why this tax increase is needed. But first, to just address the elephant in the room, this is a tax increase public hearing, and taxes are a big lift. They impact all of us, and nobody likes them. I think we can all agree that taxes suck. We're not going to sit here and try to minimize the impact of this increase and tell you that it would just be a cup of coffee a month, it'd just be a couple movie tickets a month. We recognize that it's a significant burden, and we've done all we can to minimize those tax dollars that are needed. We want you all to know that this proposal was not taken lightly, and we wanted to make sure the word got out. And so thank you so much for being here today to help us out and to voice your concerns. One of the big reasons we're here today is because of inflation. Inflation, it affects all of us. You see inflation at the gas pump. When you see it, you're filling up your personal vehicles. Our police officers, they see it when they're filling up their patrol cars as well. And as we've seen these rapid trends in inflation, we've taken steps to reduce the property tax burden as much as possible. For example, we've cut $2.5 million from the health department. There's been over 100 positions related to COVID we received federal funding for. We're not continuing those positions, unlike some other agencies that have sought other funding sources to continue those positions. Additionally, we've identified operational efficiencies to make sure our burden on the taxpayer is lower as we get better at services. Services will cost cheaper over time. For example, we move services online when possible to save on postage costs and other things like that. We've also sought additional revenue sources as we've tried to minimize the property tax burden to ensure all the services that are fee-based are paying for themselves. We've increased fees in the health department. We've supported prosecutions that have led to payouts for our local government. We've asked the state to help support or eliminate unfunded mandates, and we've cut red tape to incentivize businesses coming here, operating here, so we can get sales tax benefit to offset the property tax burden. But we're dedicated to keeping taxes low and ensuring that the county focuses just on providing public safety and those essential support services as well. And we want to limit the scope of what we do here at the county government. So we pride ourselves in being the lowest taxed urban county and the fourth lowest taxed county in the state of Utah. So you see our tax rate right there at the bottom in order from highest to lowest. So with that said, let's start with the timeline, look at what's taken us to today's meeting. But first, we've got to go back in time a little bit to our first public open house regarding the 2025 budget, which was December 4th, 2023. We held that open house across the street at our Health and Justice building, and it was a more town hall style format where departments all had different boards and people could filter through, ask questions to the different department heads, and have that back and forth feedback. So thank you for doing that, and we really appreciate all the feedback you've given us. All the feedback that you give us, it's helped us be accountable, and we thrive on meetings like this for you to let us know how you're feeling. If nobody cared about these types of meetings, nobody showed up, government officials, we wouldn't be held accountable, and we wouldn't take these decisions as seriously as we do, knowing that you guys are interested and here to let us know how you feel. So today, August 15th, this meeting today is an opportunity to give you all that opportunity to speak to us. So please come to the microphone, hold us accountable, let us know any of the questions you have, the concerns you have. I'll be sitting over here taking diligent notes on any of the questions. These public hearings are meant for the public to provide as much input as possible. So there's not going to be a back and forth discussion, but people will have 3 minutes each to say, or however much time the chair allows, to share their feelings, their thoughts, and then we'll take note of any questions. And then we invite you to our next open house, which will be September 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Health and Justice building, which is across the street in that building just down over there. And there, the setup will be similar as you see in that picture that was taken at the last open house, where departments will be around. You'll have plenty of time to ask questions, to really dig deeper into the topics that you care most about, the services that we provide at the county, and get direct answers to your questions from the department heads that many of them are here today. I know many of them also are willing to stay after tonight to answer any questions, so please feel free if you have time to spend some time speaking with them and asking them specific questions that come from the meeting today. After our September 26th open house, the next step will be in October. We'll adopt a tentative budget. So we'll have another public hearing that will give us 2 additional months where we'll continue to internalize your comments, continue to work on the budget, and continue to make sure we can reduce this as much as possible. After that tentative budget is proposed in the public hearing that happens in October, there'll be an additional public hearing in November, December timeframe, where we'll finalize the 2025 budget in conjunction with all the feedback that we've received. And we have a deadline of December 31st to fully adopt the budget, and so we're going to try to hold that final public hearing in November, December. That way, if there are any additional comments that come out, we can continue to work on those through the end of the year. So thanks again so much for being here and participating in this timeline with us. I know a lot of the other taxing agencies, they'll have a meeting similar to this and just adopt the budget right there. Many other agencies are going through that right now. We wanted to give plenty of time for you all to provide feedback, for us to actually take that feedback and not just check the box as a certain step in this process. So can you click to the next slide? I think this might have died. So to provide a little bit of background, Utah has a pretty unique tax process, and it's called the Truth in Taxation process. When you saw that notice come in the mail, it said Truth in Taxation. So this essentially was a series of laws passed in 1985 that were made to promote the public engagement in this tax process and also to cap how much revenue government agencies can get year over year. And so it's a really, really important process, and that's brought the level of transparency that we have in Utah and helped keep our property taxes low compared to other states that have automatic increases built in. Wade, could you go to the next slide? So in Utah, new growth drives all the revenue for taxing entities. Any school district, city, county, we all rely on new growth to get new taxes. If there wasn't one new home built, local government agencies would receive the same dollar amount year over year. And if inflation didn't exist, this would be an excellent sustainable path where tax increases would only be needed when we're looking at providing additional services. But unfortunately, inflation is the reality. Wait, could you click forward again? In fact, the Utah Taxpayers Association, one of the top property tax watchdogs in the state, recognized this fact when addressing the county's 2019 tax increase. In their statement concerning that rate back in 2019, they recognized the Utah Taxpayers Association often supports taxing entities going through the truth in taxation process from time to time to recapture inflation by publicly making their case to the taxpayer. The reality of the problems of inflation is no more evident now than it has been over these last 4 years. While inflation, you normally see a slowly eat away at the purchasing power of a dollar by a rate of about 2% a year, from 2020 to 2024, the average rate of inflation was almost 5% year over year. From 2020 to 2024, the dollar lost a fifth of its purchasing power. $100 of groceries back in 2020, those same groceries cost $121 today, and in some cases even more when you're looking at specific items. But this is the primary driver of the cost increases that the county has and what's led to the property tax that we're here to address today. So to recap in the simplest terms, if Utah County was just one home paying $1 for government services in 2023 and no new homes were built, in 2024, Utah County would still get that same dollar from that existing home. Conversely, if in 2023 Utah County is getting $1 from that one home, we build one more home in 2024, then the county would get $2. So you'd apply that same rate, except the purchasing power of the dollar gets slowly eaten away. So that $2 over time becomes much less than $2 it was multiple years ago. So why do taxes go up, though? There's a couple reasons. One, taxing entities. So again, there's 4 main taxing entities that we're all subject to. School district, water district, a city, and the county goes through a process like this called truth in taxation, which formalizes a rate higher than what's calculated. There's a few other special districts as well, depending on where you live, but those are the four big ones. For example, Alpine School District, they had a truth in taxation hearing a couple days ago. Their school board voted on that. It was independent of the county. The county sends out the notices and helps collect the property tax, but the school boards, your city councils, they have full authority to go through the same process that we're going here today to control their portion of the tax bill. And secondly, your property taxes could go up if your home value increased more than the average of all the other homes in that taxing district. So a lot of times this happens because you either renovate your home, add an addition to your home, finish a basement. That's not happening for all the homeowners in the taxing area. Or if you live in a more popular part of the county or more desirable high growth part of the county, your home values would increase higher than the less desirable parts of the county. So let's look at just a couple real life examples. So I have here in front 2 different tax bills. So this is one from a resident in Vineyard City and one from a resident in Saratoga Springs. I have permission to use their tax bills for today, but all the information's been blocked out. But you'll see that both houses are in Alpine School District, and both houses are subject to Central Utah Water District. So in the first example, you can see the median values at the top for the county home values. In 2022, it was $475,800. In 2023, it's $471,600. So it actually had a slight decrease in home values year over year across the entire county. But for this specific example, this home in 2022 was worth $482,600, and then in 2023, $517,000 and $400. I'm forgetting how to say that right now. But anyway, this is the home in Vineyard. So you'll see Alpine School District and Central Utah Water District are the 2 taxing entities that this home was in that increased their tax rate year over year. So they went through this truth in taxation process. They had a public hearing in that year and decided to adopt the rate higher than what was certified. All of the other agencies on there, their tax rates actually went down year over year. So in 2022, Vineyard City, for example, was sitting at 29 mills, and then in 2023, 28. And so it lowered slightly year over year. But for this homeowner, the tax bill increased because their home value increased more than that median home value, and also had those 2 taxing entities raise taxes. So total tax burden for them was $2,600, and then in 2023, $2,715. For the county-specific portion, so that's the portion that we're addressing today, I put a little red mark there and highlighted in purple. The county's portion of that bill was $175.45 in 2022, and then $186.68 in 2023. So for the next home, this is the one in Saratoga Springs, you'll see same county median values are both in the same county, but in 2022, this home value was $414,000 and $100, and in 2022. Then in 2023, the home value actually went down a little bit, $412,000, $412,000. So for looking at the rates in this tax bill, you'll see that still has Alpine School District, still has Central Utah Water Conservancy District that kept those, either increased the rate or kept the rate the same. But then also Saratoga Springs City went through this truth and taxation process too, and so their rate increased as well. But you'll see the county is the one that stands alone that did not increase that year. And so because this person's home value didn't increase more dramatically than others, their county bill actually went down. So in 2022, the county bill was $150.55. And then in 2023, $148.79. And overall, the total burden of taxes, even though a few entities went through this tax increase, their total taxes there at the bottom went from $1,808.15 down to $1,756.04. So I've highlighted those again. Just the county rate is what we're talking about here today. But when those two things happen, either tax entities go through truth and taxation or your property values change, that can change your tax bill. So to go back to the simple example, in 2023, if there were 2 homes in Utah County, each giving $2 of tax revenue to the county, in 2024, one of those home values increased way more significantly. The county is still collecting that same $4, but the tax burden just shifts to the person whose home value increased at a much higher rate. So those are the 2 main reasons that home values or tax bills increase. So with all that explained, let's take a look at today's situation and some of our key struggles. So first, the last tax action that the county took was actually in 2019 a property tax reduction. So the county chose to reduce by 25% the 2019 tax increase. And so that decrease was made possible because of an unprecedented yet temporary boost in sales tax revenue. Again, the county showed resistance. We're constantly trying to reduce and bring down that burden as much as possible, despite the serious needs that we have here. Further struggles, 88% of this increase is dedicated to criminal justice, being our police officers, our attorney, public defense, and an additional 7% of the needed increase is dedicated to our mental health services to help keep people with serious mental conditions in treatment rather than out on the streets. Additionally, the notice that you received mentioned the 48% property tax rate increase. The property tax represents a small but significant portion of our overall budget. So 48% property tax increase does not translate to a 48% increase in our county's budget. This is actually more a 16% increase in our budget, which we've been funding the minimal increases that we've had year over year with our fund balance. And we're finally at a point where we've exhausted as much of our rainy day fund as possible, and we need to make sure we don't continue doing that. And one of the last huge impacts is that federal funding was cut from victims advocates and the Children's Justice Center. The federal funds, they continue to dry up, but unfortunately, there was a significant uptick in the number of these cases. For those of you who don't know, the Children's Justice Center is the organization that addresses whenever children are raped or seriously harmed in their homes. They go to this place and they receive treatment there and justice there as well. So some of our key needs, as mentioned, is to address our deficit. So for 2024, we're projecting the general fund to be at a $12 million deficit. We also need to address concerns related to our growing population. We've had explosive growth out on the west side. The county still serves that area, and so we need services to migrate out there as well to an area that'll soon be over 300,000 residents. We have a number of facilities that are aging and need seismic or environmental upgrades to avoid fines and to make sure that we're keeping them safe. Additionally, we talked about inflation costs, computer software, gas, bullets, postage, everything we need across all the departments. Those have all gotten more expensive. And then mosquito abatement. We've had a number of rainy years making more breeding populations for mosquitoes, and we need $400,000 to buy more chemicals to make sure that we're not letting mosquitoes run rampant and ruin all our lives. Additionally, we've got public safety needs, serious public safety needs. Again, this is the main portion of the county's budget. The attorneys, we have about $1 million of additional needs for special victims unit attorneys, which again, they're dealing with those high levels of crime that as the county has urbanized, we've seen more and more of as federal mandates have caused the environment to shift, caused people to interact with each other less in normal ways. We've seen that uptick in those types of crimes. Additionally, the county funds the public defense on this side. So whenever we raise money for prosecuting the crimes, we're also holding the bag for the defense of those crimes as well. Emergency operations, we've seen increased flooding in past years, as evidenced by the recent hailstorm. We had a number of washouts, and we're trying to continue to maintain those operations. Police, jail, overtime. We have a new court opening up. That's costing us $1 million. We have to staff the new court and the district court, despite the fact that it serves the whole district. The county is state mandated to fund that and to staff that area. Additionally, those mental health services, the state has put in $500,000 for additional mental health services, and the county is state mandated, required to match those. So again, these are things that are coming down from the state, and the county is just required to find the money somehow to pay for these things. And again, we've made those cuts, we've raised fees, we've done everything in our power to make sure we keep our tax burden as low as possible and stay the fourth lowest in the state. Furthermore, in the Attorney's Office, victim witness coordinators, when we're prosecuting crimes, we want to make sure that the witnesses are found and able to support making sure that those convictions are happening. It's a waste of everyone's time and money to try a case that we can't effectively make a ruling on because witnesses are leaving or aren't able to testify because of how they feel. And then furthermore, wildland fire continues to be an issue. We want to make sure when wildland fires happen, they're not coming into neighborhoods, they're not causing property damage or even worse, the loss of life. So what this equates to is roughly $8 a month. The average home value in Utah County is $532,000, and the property tax increase will be $7.63 a month to pay for all those noted services and address our deficits going forward. So that is a huge part of it. And if you feel your home is overvalued, you can also contest those values with the county, and we can make sure we right-size your home value so you're not paying more than you need to based on the true value of your home if that's incorrect. On top of that, we do recognize, even though it's $7.63 a month, that might not sound like a lot of money to some people, we recognize that for our residents, this is significant. And so there's a lot of tax relief programs available for those who truly need it most. We have active duty service member tax exemptions, to name a few, property tax exemption for the blind, seniors and widows, and county low income abatement. Disabled veterans, that's one of our most popular tax relief programs. We have a lot of disabled veterans that qualify for a full or partial property tax exemption. And then furthermore, we have a 75 plus property tax deferral program where you can help better manage when those significant payments are coming. You can kind of move those around depending on your needs. These are all state programs that are administered through the county, and so the state can add new programs or take away programs at any time based on what the state legislature does. But the county helps administer those. So lastly, we have some additional info. September 26th, again, is that public open house. That'll be from 6 to 8 p.m., but I'm sure people will stay longer if we have additional questions. That's at the Health and Justice Building across the street again. We have a website completely dedicated to this process and the tax increase for next year, www.utahcounty.gov/truth-in-taxation, truth-in-taxation. You can check out that website. We'll post many of the questions that are asked here and the answers on that website as well. And then go to utahcounty.gov if you want to search and see if you qualify for tax relief programs. Just write in the search bar on the website, just search tax relief. It'll be the first thing that pops up. And then lastly, the most individualized information will be on your tax bill, which is either mailed to you or available online if you've signed up for our e-notice program. So please go to eNoticesOnline.com if you haven't signed up for electronic tax notices. That'll help save us postage and help combat that inflation that we're dealing with and fighting with today. So, Mr. Chair, with that, I will turn the time over to you to open up the public hearing.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Did you?
I'll lay out the the public hearing tonight. We'll have a 3-minute clock right here. So as you're addressing the commission, if you would please kind of take note of that 3 minutes. We won't have the ability to defer time to other individuals. Please take your 3 minutes. And if that goes over, you'll hear a beep and then the microphone will go mute. We have some individuals over in the Health and Justice Building in Overflow, so we may take comment back and forth. So we may say, all right, we'll take 5 comments from the individuals you see here as that room fills up. And so, and then just so we can hear everybody's questions and comments, just be respectful of everybody's time. Please ask that you adhere to that 3-minute shot clock. And so if you'll just line up here and state your name and we'll well, let me entertain a motion, excuse me.
Well, before we get that, I just wanted to say really quickly, we will not be taking a vote tonight. We're not actually voting on this until December. This is actually a feedback session. I know some of the other truth and taxation meetings that have happened, they just this is a check the box and then they're going to vote on it right after. Just so you know, that's not the case here tonight. We're trying to seek feedback. We still have our budget open house. We still have our tentative budget. We're still trying to find things that we can cut. And so, helping us know which services you value and which services you would prefer we cut. That's very helpful. But we are not taking a vote today. So just FYI, for those of you that think you have to stay to the end to see how the vote went, there is no vote today. We're doing this early so we have time to continue to refine and cut until then. And just keep in mind, inflation is a tax on all of us. So absolutely we feel you there and we hear you there, but we do want to hear your ideas, right? The more ideas we have and the more information we have and the more feedback we have from you, then when it comes time for us to cut budgets, we know where to cut because we know what you as the public prioritize. That's very helpful to us. So with that, Mr. Chair, I will make a motion to open this public hearing.
Okay, motion, I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Okay, we are now in public hearing.
If you don't mind stating your name for us so that we can put that in the record, that's a requirement for the record. Thank you.
Well, this is kind of new for me. My name is Marilyn Hunt. I live in American Fork. I've been here 4 years. The first year I moved here, my house went up $125,000, and it's only a 1,400 square foot house. This is just very unusual. Of course, I pay taxes on that. I come from a state where I understand Utah does not have this, but I was wondering if we have to go through the state legislature to get it. When you reach 65, you don't have to pay school taxes. And if you figure the average person pays, let's say you marry at 25 and your kids are raised by the time you're 45. So you've already paid 20 years on taxes. So then when you reach 65, and older, you're paying 20 plus years on kids that you don't even have in school. And this is where in the state I came from that you don't have to pay the school taxes. So do I have to go to the state legislature to get this done? The other thing I just wanted to mention real quick, I figured all the things that I have to pay on from like homeowners fees, drug insurance that people have to carry when you're over 65, your auto insurance, your telephone, your water, and other insurance. It went up 25% last year. And I think you really need to consider some help for senior citizens. That's basically why I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Good evening. My name is Olive Haupt, Haupt. I have lived in Springville for 53 years. I have been a homeowner and paid taxes for 53 years. My request is that you put a cap on senior citizens' house taxes. Our wages don't go up, and I'm curious about how many seniors actually lose their homes because they can't afford the house taxes. Like you said, everything increases. Our salaries don't because we're not working any longer. And I do not want an abatement. It's like begging for something when I feel like I want to pay taxes, but I don't want an increase in them. I think a lot of seniors feel that way. I would like to do a petition. Does anyone know how to go about doing that, where seniors can sign for a cap on house taxes? Is there a place to go, or is there a legal way to do petitions?
That's a good question. We'll maybe have staff grab you and
Okay.
help you with that answer to
Okay,
that question.
thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Olive.
Mrs. Howe.
My name's James Haupt. Also, that's my wife that just left. I know that I could qualify for my individual abatement, but I don't want that either. It's like saying, I'm better than you guys, you go ahead and pay the taxes. What I want to do is give you an analogy. I'll talk to the people behind me mainly, facing you, talking to you folks. Here, if you can follow me, pretend you're gonna go to Windover and you're a senior citizen for some reason, you like to go there, and you rent a bus, and the bus is $1,000, and two of you are going. So that's 500 each. Well, you get all these other people interested in going, and you fill the bus, and it's $20 each. With that analogy floating around your brain, more people move into the county, more people pay the bill. I understand inflation, but I'm talking about the logic behind there's more people moving in, so we have to charge you more. That doesn't make sense to me. I was self-employed electrical contractor in Orem for 50 years, and I know a little bit about business. The more people, more customers you have, and the more of anything that shares the cost, it goes down. It's cheaper. So I'm trying to represent the people that are here that are getting old. I know I'll be 100 on my birthday. You're supposed to say, oh. Yeah, I'll be 100 on my birthday. It'll just be another 13 years.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Greg Dourdan. I'm a troublemaker from Orem. And I have a resolution petition that I can leave copies with that I've got a couple of hundred names on this petition. It says, whereas the Utah County Commission is proposing a 47.9% property tax increase for 2025, and whereas Utah County's budget is alleging a maybe a $12 million deficit now, whereas Utah County elected officials received annual pay raises for the past several years, 21, 22, 23, 24, and whereas pay raises are usually reserved for superior job performance, and whereas these pay raises include a 9% pay raise in 23, in March of 23, and in January 24, another pay raise was approved, and whereas the County Commission is required to deal with the county budget by state statute, we, the undersigned citizens and voters of Utah County, ask all the Utah County Commissioners to pass a budget resolution whereby suspending the pay raises of 23 and 24 for all elected officials in lieu of the proposed 47.9% increase, and further cost cutting be undertaken by all elected officials until the $10 million deficit, or 12 million, whatever it ends up being, until it is cleared and Utah County can once again have a balanced budget, at which time this specific suspension of pay raises would end. And I respectfully submit these. Who do I give them to?
You can give those to Ezra. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Too tall, sorry. Hi, my name is Steve Burton, and I live in Provo. And it was very informative to learn about the fixed amount per year. I was not aware of that. I just knew that there was a percentage that went to the county of my property tax. But I have a graph I made here of my property taxes over the last 40 years because you can find that information. It's a public record. And it kind of gradually went up for a long time. And then the 2008 housing bubble, there was a little spike there. Then it kind of evened out. But then, of course, we all know that property values have gone crazy in the last several years. So looking at the graph, my property tax for a 55-year-old home, quarter acre in Provo, 9 years ago was $100 a month. Now it's $200 a month. So in the last 9 years, it's gone up 100%. So the property tax I'm paying is 100% more than it was 9 years ago. And if there's a fixed amount that the county gets, well, maybe I'm the unlucky one that has the house value going up while other houses aren't. So, or maybe lucky. I don't know if it's lucky or unlucky. But the end result is I pay twice as much per month in property taxes than I did 9 years ago. My question is, that kind of already is a tax increase, at least for me. That money has to be going somewhere, and if the county isn't getting it, maybe there's a different unit that is not keeping down to the fixed amount they're supposed to keep, or maybe I got a larger burden because my value's gone up. I don't know. But I think most property values have been going up, so there should be more revenue, and my question is, where's the revenue going, and is that not enough to meet the needs that the county has? So maybe some investigation could help inform as taxpayers where that money is going and why more money is needed, so we'll feel better about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, we're going to take a couple more in here, and then if 5 individuals over in the Health and Justice Building will be ready after we take 2 more in this room, okay? Thank you.
My name is Jean Christensen. We live in a little strip of the county out between Payson and Salem. That area has just been crazy, and they're coming from Payson and they're coming from east from Salem, and so we don't know where we're going to be. But my husband and I have been paying property taxes since we were 19 years old, and we're 74. I just wondered, our taxes are costing us, we have to save over $500 a month just to be able to reach the over $5,000 in property taxes that we owe. I have checked it out with the people who could help, and the reason that our property taxes are so high is they only give you a cut for the 1 acre that we have. We have 3 1/3 acres, and so it's not enough to get the green belt. We raise some cattle and we raise some hay on our ground, but it's too late to even see if we could qualify for the urban. My question is, will there ever be any consideration for seniors who only get a certain amount of money and we're eventually, if it keeps going the way it's going, we're going to be taxed right out of our house. We'll have to sell it and we won't be able to stay in it. We like our house. It's 46 years old. We built it ourselves and we raised our 5 children there. I think that, and also the school district is a big concern for me, as it will be for all seniors, because yes, I don't mind paying for children and education. I don't mind that at all. But what I really mind is the fancy district buildings that are full of marble and beautiful wood, and our teachers struggle. And I think that's wrong. And I want to be able to figure out, how are we going to be able to stay in our home? We're fairly healthy, not me so much. I had a heart attack last year and have lots of problems. But all of these expenses that come to the elderly are very difficult, and we have to save money that we don't really even have. And it's getting to be pretty burdensome. And I just want to know if there'll ever be any consideration for that.
Thank you,
Thank
Jean.
you.
Thank you, Jean.
Take one more in here, and then we'll go over to the Health and Justice Building.
Okay. John Johannesmeyer from Pleasant Grove. This is kind of deja vu to me because in 2021, I was standing here at the same microphone around the same issue of tax increase, and I believe it was initially proposed to be 120%, and they kind of whittled that down a little bit. So the spin that you put on that is a 25% discount or a reduction in 2019, it'd be much more easy for us to say it was an 80% increase or whatever the actual number was. To say it was a discount off of whatever you said is very confusing. So if you wouldn't mind clarifying to everybody how much the true tax rate increase was in 2021, that would be fantastic. We'd
Just in
appreciate that.
2020, there was not an increase. It was a decrease. In 2019 was an increase of 67%, and then in 2021, it was a decrease of 25%.
So the net gain is 40% or so?
40%.
Okay, so there's still a net gain regardless. I was also at the Alpine School District one. Again, that's going up according to our tax records. They said 15%. According to Alpine School Districts, it said about 7%. The point is, if we can't make our payments like this last lady was talking about, she'll either have to sell the house, or if they can't sell the house, the county or the state will take the house. In my mind, that is flat out theft. Anytime somebody wants to take money from my wallet, they better get permission for it. And I believe government is the same way. If government chooses to reach into my wallet without my vote as consent, then that's theft. And that's just not acceptable in these days. We really work hard. My heart goes out to these seniors that are on fixed income. I'm not in that position yet, but I'm getting there. And I'm worried about what am I going to do when I hit that age. And I will probably have to sell my house and live somewhere else. What I would suggest is that the county look at ways to cut cost first and foremost. I thought the person that mentioned about the employees getting a fixed amount, not get raises, fantastic. That's a good start. But there's so much more that can be done to reduce costs. We don't want the county to provide all of our needs at all. That's not what we're looking for. Most of us, I think, would rather take care of ourselves. So please, don't make this a huge tax increase on us. We're burdened by everything else, the county, the school districts, the cities. Everybody wants more money, and we just don't have it to give. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
John.
John.
Okay. Over in the Health and Justice Building. Oh, give us a sec. Let's get your.
Hello, my name's Craig Carson. I come from Highland, but I don't live up there in those multi-million-dollar homes. I'm down way lower in the poor district. I've been told my whole life, the American dream is to own your own home. So you work your butt off for 30, 40 years to get your house paid for, and then they raise the taxes so high you can't live in your house. Is that American dream? I don't think so. The last 3 years, my taxes have went up over $2,000, and I don't know why. We sent in a cement last year to get a relief. My wife and I are both on Social Security. They said we make too much money. They wouldn't give us a break. Social Security. We're both retired. My kids are all gone and raised. And it's going to come to the point, here now Alpine School District wants to raise their taxes now too. What do you suggest? I heard you say a few minutes ago about your rainy day fund, when it went a little low, you had to raise taxes to get money. What am I going to do when my rainy day fund runs out? Who's going to hand out money to me? Nobody. I got to sell my house. And I love my house. I've been in it over 30 years. I like staying there. It's a shame, a damn shame, you got a house paid for and you can't live in it because the taxes are so damn high you can't afford to live there. Thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
Hi, everyone. I'm Long Pei. I came from Lehigh. I live on Traverse Mountain. First, I want to talk about the Alpine School District tax increase. I attended the public hearing there as well earlier this week. And I think they were proposing about 0.006415 tax increase, like include the state-based rate as well. But eventually, after they listened to the public comments, they cut down the increase to 0.00615 instead. So I suggested they put down some like efficiency measurement, performance measurement for their for the cost benefits analysis, because they were explaining they have such high rate increase. Similar for the Utah County property tax increase, you needed to have some measurements compared to other school districts or other counties to deserve such increase. Because in that school district, they were ranked out of top 10 in Utah. But and also their math efficiency and the reading efficiency was around like 50% for all the students, according to the state task scores last year. So that's not a good performance. Yeah, that's not a good performance, but they wanted to have much higher increase. So I wonder, so one senior speaker mentioned that there were many of illegal immigrants came to the U.S., and they could send their case to the school that could increase the school budget concern. And also this, I wonder how much those illegal immigrants expense contributed to the increase in general operation in Utah County tax, and also the assessment and collection for the Utah County. Because I'm a legal immigrant. I came to the U.S. like more than 15 years ago. I already became a citizen almost 10 years ago. So I don't think the citizen tax should be paid to support any illegal immigrants spending in our tax increase. For the pay for performance, I think we can easily use something like a 1 through 5 rating, compare the operation cost and also the performance in this county versus other counties in Utah. See which which component outperform and which component underperform. If this is something unique that doesn't happen, if one component cost is not happening in other counties, that's a different thing. But I think a majority of the components in the cost should be comparable with other counties, and let the public decide and see your performance to determine if you deserve such increase. Otherwise,
Thank you, Pompey.
Lower the increase. Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, my name is Alex Honecker. Not an old fart like some of you might seem to be here, but I was raised by them, and we're hard workers down by the lake there, American Fork. I agree with that gentleman who brought up that bus analogy. We got a ton of people moving in, and there's an incredible amount of high density housing that's being built, and we got all this tax money bringing in, and I don't understand why those who own property are taking the hit for all the people that are coming. You know, I think we need to find some other way to pay for some of these things that doesn't have to do with, you know, property taxes. I imagine those who own those high density housing there on the south side of the bridge in American Fork probably get some sort of tax breaks that are likely not as needed as everyone that's here today. And living a mile from the lake, I got to say the mosquitoes aren't that bad. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
My name's Carol Carson. I'm from Highland. I just have a couple of questions. As homeowners, we pay taxes for the school districts. What about all the renters who have children going to school that are renting homes? The homeowners probably pay taxes for the school district, but a lot of the homeowners have made 2 and 3 apartments in their homes. So therefore, 3 families are living in there with children going to school. Who's paying the taxes for all their children when they don't own the home? That is a question I'd like answered. And hopefully we can find a solution because, yeah, it's hard to make a living on Social Security when you don't have children at home and you don't have extra income coming in. I feel sorry for these families with families with a lot of children, but they get a tax cut. They get money for each child, and we're still taxed after our Social Security comes in and we've retired. It's just a bad situation for the elderly. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol. Okay, we'll come back in here. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Sean Berry. I'm from Pleasant Grove. Mosquitoes. There's one less
You
now,
wanna
so you
borrow
can cut
this?
the budget a bit because I got one.
Okay.
I was at the Alpine School District meeting the other night. 8 or 10 people were there up on the dais. They sat up there, they listened to, 30 people, 40 people. It was 10-1 against raising the tax at 7%. They took the vote afterwards and they passed it unanimously. I know you said you're not going to vote on that tonight, but I'm telling you, you shouldn't vote for it at all. We haven't been in our house in Pleasant Grove for more than 4 years, but our taxes have gone up significantly. We bought it at a higher rate than a lot of these people have spoken about. If you've been in your house for 30, 40, 50 years, you didn't pay near what it's worth, but you're taxing them at that. And in doing so, they don't have the money. The money's in the house. They got 2 options: get a mortgage again to take some money out, or sell it. They either got to pay the mortgage back or they don't have the house anymore. This is not to say anything or throw shade at anybody who's spoken. A lot of us are up here, we're angry. We're just angry that this keeps happening. 7% here, 8% there, 20% here, 48% for the county. That's despicable. Learn to cut your budget. Find somebody, something who has to go. One of the district employees in Alpine is making $249,000 a year plus benefits. Average salary is $70,000 a year, or median salary in the county. We could replace him with 4 people. He needs a pay cut. I don't know what you all make. It's public knowledge. We can all look it up. But with all due respect, when I got to cut my budget, you need to cut yours. We've gone without stuff that we dearly love to do or have. It just doesn't happen. It's not in the budget. So we cut it because we don't have this golden goose that we can just go, let's go up 5%, let's go up 8%. Doesn't happen. My last 50 seconds, I want to share this with the audience. Anybody that's here from California? Came from California? You'll remember Proposition 13 in the 70s. Jarvis-Gann Act it was called, but they named it Proposition 13. It was an unlucky number for politicians. It was a lucky number for the citizens. And what that did is it froze property taxes at the rate they were when you bought your house. Now, that wouldn't help you being in there 50 years now, but what it does is if I bought a house today, that's going to stay with a minimal increase. That's going to stay at that rate until I sell it. Once I do, then it gets reassessed. Doesn't get reassessed every year. If you'd like to talk to me about it, I'll be out in the lobby waiting when this is over. I need some help. We need to get this through the legislature. Thank you.
My name is Catherine Hindmarsh, and I live in Provo. The county has, the county commissioners have hired a new, can you hear me?
Huh?
Okay. A new information officer. I understand what an information officer does to some extent. They talk to the public so that the commissioners don't have to. Amelia's senior policy officer was Ezra, and then he was hired as a helper to Amelia and the commissioners to work on their projects. I don't know what he does, but Amelia has a new senior policy advisor, and her name is Alice. Brandon has a senior policy advisor, that is Nicole. Tom Sakovich has a senior policy advisor, who is Lisa. They all get paid, and I don't know exactly how much. Now Ezra has a new helper, who is Eileen, and we now have, there is 4 new positions, and there's a new position being acquired by the commissioners, but I don't know exactly what it is or who the person will be as the officer. All of this money to pay all of these people comes from the general fund. They hire these people. The government, this comes from the general fund, and they made a movie at the Spanish Fork prison, and I don't know why they made that movie, and it cost $60,000 or more, and so I wonder what they did with. We received that money. I wonder what they did with the money for the movie in the jail. I am also concerned about the remodeling of the officers. In the commissioner's offices, they are always changing things around and making new rooms and adding on people to the commissioner's office. The commissioners have increased their pays 3 times since Brandon and Amelia have been in office. And she tells me that. We had to get a higher wage so that we can attract new people. The salary, let's see. The commissioner's office do get new people and wages as the commissioners. But so most of the money you are taking to raise taxes, what Amelia and Brandon are doing, people.
Thank you, Catherine.
People took raises. 1 minute. I was told he works for the people. If the job is
Catherine?
getting easier with more assistance, why are the commissioners getting more money? You are expecting government should add public positions. You should not add public positions without our permission.
Thank you. No more outbursts, please. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, my name is Dave King. I live in Linden. And I have 4 things, but I think I can make them pretty quick and concise. First, I do want to thank you for taking time to listen to us and for not doing the underhanded thing that the Alpine District did and turning around and just voting right then, but actually trying to take and address our concerns. So thank you for that. Do you expect to answer some of these concerns at the end of the meeting, or how will we get answers to these?
We can, depending on if we go to midnight or if we are done at 8 or 9, we're all, there's a lot of elected officials here committed to answering questions.
Great. Thank you.
But usually, typically, we can either, since we have other public hearings and open house and things like that, we're gathering a lot of this information to, hopefully.
And it won't just be forgotten.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's our hopes.
Very
yes.
good, thank you.
Yep.
Second thing is I really want to add a strong voice for seniors here. I'm getting close to retirement. If you look around here, you can see a lot of people that are 55 and older. And for every one of us that's here, there's probably 2,000 or more, who knows? It's a big number of seniors out there and people who have bought their homes on the budget that they had at the time. And when we go to Social Security, it's like they said, it's a fixed income. We can't vote ourselves a 50% increase in Social Security. And yet that 47.9, 48% is a percent increase. And so please seriously look. I know that I can remember 20, 30 years ago, the state of Arizona doing something about seniors being priced out of their homes when, just because of the taxes. And that really is morally and ethically not right. So please give a serious look to that, not just now, but over the years. And if it's built into the taxing structure that at a certain age it doesn't go up or whatever that it might be, it's a lot easier than and it will actually save you money if you don't have 50,000 people coming and applying for that decrease. The third thing is I do clearly want to point out that the percentage of increase is not just a dollar increase, it is a mill increase. We don't get on automatic cost of living, many of us, when we work. We have to qualify every year for that increase. And yet this tax is being raised 48%. That's on top of the fact that the value of most of the homes in Utah County is going up. There might be a few that got down, but in reality, most of them are going up. And so to raise that percent, you just need to don't raise the percent. Base it on the value of the homes going up, just like inflation does. And the last thing is, I seriously agree with, in a positive way, all of the good things that the gentleman 2 times before me said. We don't get to vote ourselves an increase, and so we really look to cut, please.
Thank you, Sean. Dave.
My name's Karen Adamson. I'm from Orem. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but the longer I stood back there, the more I just figured I had to. Bottom line is, right now, we don't trust you. And you need to do something to make it so that we can trust you. I run a business with my husband at home. When we don't make enough money to pay ourselves, our employees get paid and we don't. We simply don't. And that's you. You don't get paid if you can't balance the budget. That's you. And that's these guys and the people that you keep hiring to help you, like that lady was so eloquent in telling us. I don't have all the figures myself, but a friend gave me these numbers, and she said, right now, you guys are making $167,000 for a part-time job.
It is full-time, just FYI, it's full-time, it's not part-time.
Great. That's still way more money than almost everybody else in this county makes, and you don't work as hard as you think you do to make that kind of money. Just like you said about the Alpine School District people, you just aren't earning that kind of wage. So especially because you're not balancing the budget and you keep hiring people to do jobs that are just repetitive. So if you run a business, you can't do repetitive jobs. You can't pay people to do stuff that somebody else is already doing. And you guys know this. And we also have information that you guys want to do another Children's Justice Center and some other things like that. We can't afford them, so we don't get them. That's just how the bottom line works. That's how budgets work. If you can't afford it, you can't have it.
Hi, my name is Larry Bates. I live in Pleasant Grove. I grew up in Utah and I'm proud of that. I haven't lived here, though, for 40 plus years until last year. I've lived in 8 different states. I've seen a lot of different taxing entities from the state to the local levels. I appreciate the information that's been given to us at the beginning of this meeting. Like several others, I too attended Alpine School District's meeting 2 days ago. Weathered the storm to get there and get back out. And I think it's a travesty that they went ahead and approved that budget when, as was already mentioned, over 90% of the people that commented were absolutely against that budget and begged them not to pass it. And to have them turn around and pass it's a travesty. It's also a travesty to say we want 48% tax increase, knowing that if you cut that increase by 25%, you can brag that you cut the increase by 25%, when in reality, the taxes still went up an unbelievable amount. I have not had a pay increase in 4 years. You all have, as has already been stated. I haven't made, in all of my career as a physical therapist, I haven't made half of what our elected officials in this county make. And yet, raising my 7 children, and all of the grandchildren I have now and assisting them, it takes a lot of money. And Alpine School District 2 days ago talked about that the problem is inflation. You all talked about the same problem. The problem's inflation. I know the problem's inflation. I pay double for eggs what I paid 4 years ago. but I don't have double the income. And so when things get tight and inflation goes up, what do? I tighten my belt. I cut my expenditures. And the county needs to do the same. As has already been said eloquently, we can't go, as taxpayers, we can't go to a golden goose and say, we just need more money. We don't have anybody to just give us more money. We can go out and get a second job if we've got time and energy to do that, and somebody's hiring. But we can't just pick money off the trees like government agencies can. And again, it's a travesty. It's wrong to ask that of us as taxpayers, to approve a tax increase like you're asking for. So tighten your belts, like we all have to.
Thanks, Larry. We're going to take one more in here, and then we'll go back over to the Health and Justice Building after you. No, we're going right now. Yep.
Good evening. My name's Mark Weldon. I'm with WI Commercial Properties. I've been working in Utah since 1995, have had 6 different businesses with locations here and throughout the country. And we all know housing taxes are very difficult. But I come here today representing 18 buildings that we built, 47 tenants. Last year we paid $1.6 million in property tax, which is a large amount. The unfortunate thing is our properties in Texas, Arizona, and Florida, in 2 of those states, Florida and Texas, don't have state income taxes. But on a per foot basis, the property tax is higher here in Utah than in Florida. So with these tenants, we're running like our own little small city. They have concerns, they have budgets, they have payroll, they have competition. A number of them have said, can you move us, please, to Texas or Florida? We can't deal with the rate of change. So last year, 1.6 million. We budgeted for it. We had it. We saved. The trim notices come in the mail. So now the county wants 2.4 million. 2.4 million. Do the math from 1.6. So when we talk to the different taxing agencies, the excuse is we're only going up a small amount. I look at it like this. If last year I paid $68,000 on a building, and now this year they want $104,000, that's not a small increase. Where does that money come from? So if we fight through the process, borrow the money, pay 1 year, and the next year, we say, what are we going to do? Well, I can sell and just move on. But the next generation sitting right here that want to run the business and grow the business and bring other workers to Utah. We brought 5,000 workers to Linden. Unfortunately, 1,500 of them left because their businesses can't operate. Last year, we had 14 defaults. People just closing their businesses, moving out in the middle of the night. So we have to re-tenant, recommission, rebuild, okay? So I'll introduce Larry from FinCon right here, who helped us build 2 beautiful buildings in Payson. Now we're subsidizing, loaning businesses money so they can start there. Unfortunately, to have the right to build the building there, UDOT made us spend $600,000 to fix the state road. But it doesn't stop there. We had to pay $320,000 to Payson to build the road and give it to them. So the rate of change when we have all this vacancy in office is a tremendous problem where we can't lease the office. Brandon Fugel will tell you, we can't lease the office.
Thank you.
We need help.
We
Please.
appreciate-
One last comment. Look up Save Your Homes in Florida. That was put in years ago. It's a wonderful thing. It'll help all these seniors. It'll help everybody else. It caps the rate of increase, and it makes everyone live within a budget year over year over year, which is like 3%. Total 3%.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
before we have Larry, just 1 second, Larry, let's see if we've got anybody over in Health and Justice. Nobody? Okay. Take it away, Larry.
Okay, I'm Larry Finch, lived here in Orem my whole life. Got a lot to say, but I don't think I can do it in 3 minutes. But anyway, like Mr. Weldon here, he's paying $2 million in taxes on few buildings. You drive up and down the street and look at all these big buildings, 80,000, 100,000, 40,000. Tons and tons and tons of money, let alone everybody's own house of $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000. There's so much money in taxes that honestly, I mean, oh, you got this budget here. I don't know where it goes. We've got to stop government spending. It's out of control. School districts is out of control, tearing down buildings. I'm a builder, like Mr. Weldon said there. One school after another, just demolish it. They're not that old. 50 years old. The school was brand new when I was in second grade. Tore out, gone. Spencer Elementary. $100 million to rebuild it. I mean, to build a new one, where they say, well, it needs a seismic upgrade. Okay, seismic upgrade, put 10 million in it. 10 million instead of 100 million. You look around here, school after school after school is tore out. So what happens is the school district goes, we're out of money. You know why they're out of money? Because they're spending the money needlessly, running it wild, and so then they come and say, "We need more money, or we're in the red. We need to get back in." So okay, we're going to raise your taxes another 20-30%. There's got to be some legislation to stop this government spending. It's just running wild. You said the taxes went down in 2001. I went and appealed some stuff. That's what, and the appeal says, hey, your taxes went down. Well, they didn't go down because they went up because of the school district again. Maybe one little part of the taxes went down, but the school districts went up. So my taxes on my own personal house or some of the businesses I own, instead of being $2,000 last year, it's $2,300. They're saying it went down, but if it went up $300, it didn't go down. I just hope this meeting does some good. A lot of people's coming here and voice their opinion, and as you can tell, I'm just really irritated, totally disgusted on the government spending. Here in America, we're born free, but now we're taxed to death.
Thank you, Larry.
Evening, I'm Sarah from Orem. So in addressing these increases in the taxes, I'd like to say thank you for the presentation and thank you for what you do. I understand it's hard. Inflation rates increased at an average of 3.5% over time, which affects the county costs. But inflation rates also affect the costs for families. Future vendor costs are increasing for the county. Service costs are also increasing for families. Car prices and maintenance costs are increasing for the county. Car prices and maintenance costs are also increasing for families. Benefit costs are increasing for county employees. Costs of benefits are also, for like healthcare, are increasing for families. The county says they need more buildings and office space. Families are also struggling to afford housing in this housing market. I know that it's hard to stay within a given budget, but it's hard for families too. And you may say it's only an extra few dollars, and I know you addressed that you guys are very good about saying that's not just a few extra dollars. But as everybody said here, it's a few extra dollars for the county. It's a few extra dollars for Alpine School District. It's a few extra dollars for the Central Utah water increase on top of all these increasing costs. And it's really starting to add up. So I'd like to ask, instead of asking Utah County families how can they make cuts in their budget to pay these extra taxes, let's see how we can cut our county budget so we don't have to increase taxes on families and on senior citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Evening, this is Sterling Biggs, Spanish Fork, Utah. About 3 years ago, I purchased a small little farm in Lake Shore, And during the buying process, I reached out to the county and said, hey, you know, the real estate agent is, you know, declaring there's an accessory apartment that's partially, you know, started. Just want to make sure all the permits, everything has been, you know, done and everything's legit. Yep, we see, you know, this permit, we see this permit. Okay, great. I close on the house. I go to the county, and I can see why people do things and hope they don't get caught, because when you try to do it the right way and try to work with the county, sometimes it always takes a lot longer. You have to jump through all these hoops. I go to the county and I find out that, oh, you know what? Let me check on that. Yep. You know what? You need to do this, this, and this. It took me over 6 months, and I most likely wouldn't have bought that property if the zoning and the building department had did their job. And I probably spent 2 weeks working with them trying to figure out this. So then I find out that it wasn't properly started, and all the hoops I had to jump through. And then finally, about 6 months after I finally get my permit, guess who came knocking on my door the very next day? It was the county commissioner looking for pictures that they can take so they can do a property evaluation for this year's taxes. And it just kind of makes you feel like, wow, you know, you finally give me my permit. I can start the process after incurring all these extra charges that I wasn't planning on. And now you're here to take pictures that of nothing has been done. I said, you know what, sorry, I just barely got the permit. The subs are out. You'll have to come back when, you know, when work has been done. And sure enough, as soon as I got the occupancy for the accessory dwelling, guess who was there knocking at the door wanting to take more pictures? It just kind of makes you feel, okay, you know what, I'm single, I don't have kids. I pay property taxes on 3 properties. So, you know, I see the problem with the seniors. What about the people who don't have kids, who don't have anyone in school? And how many years do we have to keep paying for other people's kids? And, you know, this year I've had to reach out to both my tenants and say, hey, guess what? Your property, you know, everything's gone up. My property taxes are going up. Guess what? I have to increase the rent. And they're not very happy. And until what end do you get to the point where, you know, it doesn't stop? So, you know, I think there's a problem with, you know, senior citizens being able to pay down the road. And what about people who don't have kids, who don't have anyone in school? You know, what are we doing for them? Thank you.
Thanks, Sterling.
Hi there. My name is Zach Little. I live here in Provo. Want to thank you for taking this time to listen to us. I do appreciate that in the presentations. Your job is hard. It's not easy. Inflation is on everyone's minds. It's the buzzword now for the last few years. But before these last few years, it really was quite low, quite tame for many, many years, as you know. The cumulative, this is just from the internet, so the cumulative inflation rate in the United States over the last 20 years, I got my house 20 years ago, is 66%. Utah claims to be better inflation than that. I haven't been able to find Utah's inflation rate, but 66%, Utah potentially better. My house, when I first bought it 20 years ago, property taxes were $1,650. This year, well, 2023, almost $4,400. That's an inflation or a cumulative rate of 166%. So the inflation rate in the United States is 66, 166 here. I know your line is just one of these lines on many portions of this tax, and so it's not on you. But somehow we're calling this inflation, but it's a lot more than inflation. Why are we up 166% when the inflation rate is less than 66 here in Utah? That's really my point. I'd like to know why it's so much more expensive here. We do have to get it within a budget. You got to keep that budget. Company I work for is struggling, and they had to make cuts, and I'm one of those cuts. So I'm losing my job at the end of this month. It's just how it is. I mean, I don't blame them. I'm not happy, but I don't blame them. But it's cuts, right? And that's what I think a lot of people said, and I appreciate what they've said. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Zach.
My name is Eleni Wilding, and I am from Orem. First off, I'd like to ask the question, and I don't know that taxpayers know this, that Utah taxpayers will help build a $35 million lodge at Sundance. This is news to me. And so I want to know how much of our taxpayer money is going to that. It's a private entity, and it says here in the article, it says that the oversight of the project is going to be in the hands of the Utah County officials. So I'm assuming that's you, the county commission, and whoever else you're going to put on that. That's something that is totally out of line for what Utah County really should be doing for its citizens who already live here and pay taxes here, is making it easy for other companies to come in and be able to do their private enterprise and create their own fund, their own profits using taxpayer money. I'm not privy to all this information, but I would like to know the answer to that question. How much of the taxpayer money is going towards this $35 million lodge?
Zero. Utah County is not putting any money towards that. Zero.
Okay, so that we're going to be able to check on that.
Yes.
So the other thing is I think that the biggest concern that I have is the $40,000 pay increase you gave yourselves. I don't know if you understand that public service is what people do out of the public service is not something where you're going to be making a good wage. Public service is something people do in order to provide something and give back to their community, and then get out because it doesn't pay very well. Now, you look at, I can look at Orem, and people will say you can't get elite level commissioners or elite level employees to come in when the pay doesn't reach market value, market level. And I would say that's hogwash. That people in this county, there are plenty of people in this county that would gladly give their time for a short period of time because they know they'd be making a sacrifice. So my biggest concern of all of this, because I can't possibly know everything that's going on, but I do know that you have given yourselves a raise a couple of times already. And I'd like to have that on the record, that public service should be a sacrifice, not a gainful employment. I'm hoping that you don't stay here long, that you say, this is not where I want to be for a long time, because I'm not making enough money to make this work. I need to go back into the private sector. Thank you.
Elaine. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pauline Stanley. I live in Provo for the last over 20 years. We have a home here in Provo. And the first thing I wanted to mention is the growth that we have here in the city. And it's encouraged. It's a city growth. Yeah, we did this, we did that. We let's get bigger and bigger. And I feel that that's where some of the money is going to. Rebuild this, rebuild that. A new police department, a new school, and that somebody mentioned. Also the immigration. A lot of people, or a lot of immigration status that we have coming into our state, into our cities, and we are paying for the taxes, such as the school, and the increase in the enrollment at the schools, and this paper that was sent out to us says, where do your property tax dollars go? And a huge majority of it said the school district, about 67.88%. That's a huge percent. I don't know exactly where all those expenses go with that percent. And all I can think of is that the growth that we have in the city, and we are the ones that are paying, for the school expenses in that way, and wherever it goes in the district. And then the roads that are being repave for the roads that don't need it. Okay, just to make it look nice, maybe. Usually when they want to redo a road, the road can be pretty bad and it needs it. But some of these are just getting redone where it doesn't need to. And then, and as far as the taxes that we're paying on our home, okay, it just sounds like you don't win by trying to improve your property. You improve your property, the taxes go up. So where's that win-win situation? There's none. And we don't get ahead like most of us seniors are facing right now. And we don't have small children that we have in our school district. And a lot
you,
of that, people are renting. Those are the people, maybe somewhere they're paying, we don't know. But we are the ones that are paying for their taxes. And I agree with all those who I mentioned a tax break for seniors, and also that we should all tighten our belts and know what we should do in a way of tightening our belts,
Thank you, Pauline.
our renovation and such. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Randy Russin, and I live here in Provo. I bought a condo here several years ago, and I really appreciate the fact that you're holding this public hearing, and that you're not going to vote on this issue tonight. I really appreciate that, and I also appreciate that there's going to be additional hearings as well. And so, to me, that means a lot. I really have appreciated the comments that have been made tonight. People have made some excellent comments about not raising taxes. I own a business. I do accounting for small business for companies. And I've looked at literally hundreds of financial reports through the years. I've helped companies cut expenses. We've gone through financial reports line item by line item. And the number one expense in any business is personnel or employees. And so if you are looking for ways to cut the budget and cut expenses, that is the number one. It's not equipment, it's nothing else, but it's personnel, and it's human resources is the number one cost in any business. The same with government. So I would carefully look at ways to be more efficient, to hire less people and get the same job done. And as far as salary increases, I don't think there needs to be one every year. And I know this, and you commissioners are accountable to us taxpayers because we vote, and you know that there's going to be a vote coming down the road. And so you are accountable to us. And so I just think that there never needs to be an increase in salary from year to year to year. And I think that's one way to really help cut the budget is by not coming out with an increase every year. And so I hope that that this doesn't pass, and that you look for ways to cut down the expenses, especially in the area of human resources. And thank you again for tonight.
Thanks,
Thank you, Randy.
Somebody in the Health and Justice? Okay. Will you give us one break while we have somebody? You can stay right there, but we're going to have somebody from over at Health and Justice Building address us. Okay.
Well, my name is Brian Nelson. Thank you for listening to us today. I appreciate that. There's a lot of things to discuss tonight. I do believe that there is a lot of waste. I'm sure you guys have looked over lots of budgets and ways to cut. There are a lot of waste in courts. I have fostered a few children over my marriage with my wife, and the amount of court fees and attorney fees that are wasted, I'm sure are a lot more astronomical than I know. One of the mothers that went to court with had her children taken away 3 times, all for the same stuff, and had we adopted one, and then her next kids that she had afterwards were taken away, given back to her, taken away, all for the same stuff. And she's now pregnant again with her 4th child, still in the same situation. And I'm sure the child will be taken away more court fees again. So I don't know if you guys have looked into it, but I think that's an area that needs to be looked at pretty thoroughly, because I know that there's a lot of waste there. For all of those that are not on Social Security, you guys can look at this too, but I wanted to put this out there, freedomlawschool.org. It'll educate you on your federal taxes and how 99% of us don't have to pay them. So if you guys are hurting, that's something to look at. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, you're up.
My name is Wayne Acey, and I live in Orem. And I just want to mention about older homes that depreciate instead of appreciate. And I think there ought to be a point where the appreciation equals the depreciation. And I support those comments that are made for we mature people.
Well,
Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks so much, Wayne.
Hi, my name is Brian. I'm from Lehigh. It sounded like the meeting was mostly to get ideas, and I appreciate that. I'm not sure I'm going to articulate this well. I've been listening, and I think there's been a number of good ideas presented. I don't know how feasible a lot of them are. I get it. I was an HOA president, and the city suddenly found a water meter that they hadn't billed us for a number of years, and so I had to figure out how to come up with a bunch of money, right? So I get it, and it was tough. And as an HOA president, I could have found ways to not pay for things myself, right? I could have said, hey, if you're on the board, you don't have to pay your HOA dues. Didn't do that. So I guess my feedback, because it sounds like that's the purpose of the meeting, I tell you that story so my goal is to show that I have some empathy. But my feedback, I guess, for the evening is optics. So what I mean by that is someone said that they don't trust you. I'm not going to go that far to say I don't trust you. But the presentation where you said we got 25%, we decreased what we were going to charge you more by 25%, that is statistics lie and liars use statistics, okay? So that doesn't bode well. And then we've heard a number of times that the percentage of inflation has been 66%, but our taxes have gone up by 166%, okay? Round numbers, right? I realize that not all of that is Utah County. So maybe it'd be interesting to say, okay, this is how much Utah County went up every single year, because that would be optics for me, right? I didn't do that math. I'm not mad. I can cover the increase. It's not that big of a deal to me. But what's like deer in a headlight shock is 50%. Like, whoa, what the hell? Right? If you ran into anything, there's like, well, we're just going to charge you 50% more. You would take a step back and be like, okay. And we, the lay person who doesn't do this as a full-time job, we don't know the ins and outs, right? It's really hard for me to give you ideas because I have no idea what will work. And I could give you ideas, and you could say, Brian, that doesn't work. There's a law against that. I can't do that even if I wanted to. So I blabbered. I apologize.
You're fine.
Thank
You're
you.
great. Thanks, Brian.
Hi there. I'm Jill Buss. I'm from Orem, Utah, and I just wanted to address the way the public businesses handle a situation like this. My husband has worked for 40 years for the BYU store, and when the BYU store became less profitable, they had a giant layoff where they decided the general book area wasn't making enough money, so they cut it down dramatically. And then they decided other areas weren't making enough money. 2 huge layoffs. Okay, so now they've got managers and things, and they cut a layer of management. And then after that, they started, every time they cut a layer of management, they approached my husband and said, we need you to run 2 departments now. Now we need you to run 3 departments. Now we need you to let all your all of your full-time students go and just have part-time. And so they handled the increasing burden by getting rid of staff, lots and lots of staff, and those who are on duty taking on more. And I believe that that's what government needs to do. It's not a matter of cutting the service. Obviously, your officers still have to be officers. We still have public safety needs. We have lots of things, but any duplication in management, even one, needs to be taken out. Layers of reporting to need to be taken out. They need to cut layers rather than cut services. And I think if the county did it like the private sector has to do it, because if they stop making money, they're going to have to close their doors. All their employees are going to lose. And so they have to find ways to stay open and do it. And often that, I'm afraid in my husband's business, it turned into him putting in 12-hour days, Monday through Saturday. And he just retired, and I'm grateful I get to see him again. It's been 10 years. I don't expect you guys to do the same, nor do I expect city employees to do the same, but I do believe that there can be levels taken out that will not decrease service and still make it more efficient to run the government. That's it.
Jill.
Thank you.
Let me first say that we do appreciate your service. Just so you know.
Will you tell us your name? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Norm Avery. I'm out of Payson, West Mountain area. But I do have a question, maybe just so you guys can defend yourselves. When I was here a few months ago, we were talking about a deficit in one of the meetings of even up to $15 million. And now I hear, and I didn't know it, but I hear we added staff, right? We added people to the payroll. And I don't understand that. Why, when we knew that we had a problem, we add layers of people knowing that we were going to go to the taxpayers and say we need more money. I mean, did we really add people? Did we add people to the staff?
Talk about after.
Yeah, we can address that after, but
Okay, I just, it blows my mind. I'm working right now, trying to get a small company to survive. I've been out of a paycheck for 15 months, right? I now do two people's jobs just so that we can make it work. And I chose to do that. I get it, right? Because I thought I could help. But I look at this and I go, gee whiz, I was here, and Commissioner Powers brought up a great point when we were sitting in that meeting a few months ago. She was teleconferencing in, and she said to some of the department heads, I would like to see somebody tell me how we're going to cut. What are we doing to cut, instead of asking? You remember that, right? I mean, a great point. How are we going to cut? How are we going to live within our budget? The last year, yeah, I had to cut. I had to figure out a way to live on less. Maybe don't get as much. And I just echo a lot of the comments that we have to be on a budget. We have to stay within a budget. Can't just go to the people and ask them for more money. Just can't do that. We got to get on a budget and stay there. And we're looking to you guys to do that. Thank you.
thank you, Norm.
Thanks, Norm.
My name is Marlon Platt. I'm from Orem. About 8 years ago, my wife and I and our daughter and her husband purchased a home in Orem together. We live in a mother-in-law apartment. We were happy in that home. We have seen our taxes increase significantly since we purchased that home. But one of the things that was kind of interesting to me, I received a questionnaire in the mail just a few months ago, inquiring about the occupancy of the home and whether there was a rental unit involved. Because there are two families there and all of our names are on the title, I think that's maybe why we received the questionnaire. The thing is, if the questionnaire had shown that the part of the house was being rented, the house property tax would have been almost twice as much. The house is the house. The value is the value. Why would there be a different rate if a family owns the house and rents out a part of their home? The value is the same. The occupancy is the same. The utility usage would be the same. It seems kind of ridiculous to me. Fortunately, we didn't fall into that rental situation, and so we don't have that extra higher taxes. But I think that's something that needs to be looked at carefully. The other issue that I just wanted to bring out as a retired person, before I retired, I was offered a raise in my job. I didn't need the raise, and so I turned it down. If you don't need a raise, turn it down. If you got a raise and you don't need it, give it back, especially when there's a budget deficit. And the last point I wanted to make, those of us who are retired, within the next 10 years are looking at a 30% tax cut in our, 30% income cut in our Social Security. That's been publicized for many years. So about 2033, all of the seniors in this county are going to get a 30% tax or income decrease. You need to prepare for that, because you think it's bad now. Wait till we don't have the income, if we're still alive, to support those extra taxes. Thank you.
Thanks, Marlon. Hopefully you're still alive.
Hi, I think I've worked with both of you before quite a bit. So my name's Delvon Ballas. I live in Cedar Hills. And I do appreciate your service, and I echo what a lot of people have said. I would look at, I know the state's given us money. If we don't have to, let's turn it back. We always talked about the ties that come with the money that's given. Well, if we can put off that for a year or so and just tell the state, wait, we just are trying to get through this year. Let's send some of that back. The next thing that I have to say is really not for the commissioners. This is really for all the people in this room. If your taxes are anything like mine, the reason why we're getting taxed out of our houses is because of school district taxes. And I'm going to tell a quick little story about when I was about 20 years old. The realtors in the state of Utah got together and changed the way we collect property taxes for schools. The way it was collected before that time, it was collected based on new construction. There's only two reasons to build a new school. Reason number one, new construction. You have new capacity for new students, and therefore you need new construction. The second reason is because the costs of maintaining that building, whether it's seismic improvements or whatever it is, exceed the costs of maintaining the building. So then you build a new building. They went in and they said, property assessments that are based on your fees when you build a house are getting so high that we can't afford to build houses anymore. So they outlawed the way they were collecting taxes, which was on new construction primarily. There were other taxes as well. We need to rise up against our realtors, and we need to get a law passed that takes us back to the way it was. Now, I agree. I paid $15,000 about 20 years ago when I built my house myself, swinging my own hammer to build the house, because that's the only way I could afford to build the house. So I built my own house and I paid $15,000 in impact fees. You can't collect that with the construction of one house. You can't collect the value needed to pay for a new building because you've got now 6 or 7 kids in that house, or 3, or whatever it is. You can't collect that in one full assessment. We need to tell our realtors we're done with this, and we need to collect that impact fee over the life of the house, maybe over 20 years, maybe over 30 years, but we need to collect that new construction fees. And it's time to rise up against the school district overpricing and passing bonds that are for $800 million when they really only need about $200 million to be able to build these palatial schools that we're building now. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Hi, my name's Brock, and I'm from Benjamin. I don't have a lot to say. I did not prepare a speech for this, but I would like to say that it is not just the older demographic that cares about this and your tax increases. Our farm is 5 generations. To see that at risk to be taken away because of a tax increase that could be absorbed in other areas, I don't want to see that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brock.
We got anybody over in the Health and Justice Building? Okay, go ahead.
My name is Joseph West. I'm from Pleasant Grove, and I appreciate the presentation you gave that helped me explain a few things about how taxes are generated. But one thing that was not there is I haven't seen anywhere an explanation of why the 48% increase in taxes. I mean, what's happening with the budget? What are you doing there? I'd like to have some information about why you're getting that much more money. Where is it going? And I didn't see that here tonight. Maybe it'll come in that open house, but I'd like to see that.
Okay, Joseph. Absolutely. Thanks, Joseph.
Anyone else? Okay, looks like we've got one. You're up. Yes, Health and Justice Building. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lisa Frampton. I live here in Provo. We haven't owned our home for very long, but watching our property taxes go from manageable to crazy and knowing that it's going to go even higher is too much. My husband works, and we also own our own business, and because of how expensive things have gotten, our business is just barely, it's not even hardly doing anything. And if this goes up anymore, there's no way we'd be able to even keep our business, because we used to flip homes. We do remodeling, handyman stuff, and interior design, and that. So if people can't afford their home because their property tax is so high, we don't have a job because they can't afford to hire us. I wrote down a couple of things to help me remember, keep my mind on focus. But I'm a little familiar with some of the programs that the county holds for underprivileged people and some people that are called newcomers, and because I've been part of them. And while a lot of those programs are a blessing and a major help, I believe that there's too much going into that, too much money. It feels like there's too much. Like, here's this extra food. You guys want it. Here's some extra gifts. Your kids want this stuff. We have extra classes if you want to go to them. Here's a free laptop. Here's a free, we'll give you this. I mean, it's just so much. And I just feel like it's too much. Cutting in those extra programs, I think, can go a long way. And the other thing that is kind of annoying to see is I understand that we want to beautify our cities and make nice roads and make everything look really nice. I do interior design and landscaping. I understand that. I totally get it. And we want our place to be attractive. However, like adding the extra bike lanes and all the trees and the flowers and the curbs and just giving this beautiful curb appeal to our cities when we're in so much debt, I think is too much. Like when I'm helping someone do a design in their home, if they can only afford to do the basic 4 walls, here's your basic stuff, then that's all they should do. Not, oh, should we do 2-tone and paint, and do you want this upgrade in your carpet? Or do you want me to do extra landscaping for you in the backyard? Do you want nicer appliances? When you're hurting and when you're in debt, that's not when you dig in and get extra. That's all I'd say.
Thank you, Lisa.
My name is Vance Law. I've lived in Provo off and on for the last 50 years. I just have a couple of things to say is when taxes go up, I have never seen them go down. And so every time that there is an increase, I expect that the next time that I hear from get a tax notice, that it's going to be increased again. It has never gone down where it's been a meaningful drop. It's the same way with when we have school bonding in the school districts. A bond is put there, and it may be for $600 million or whatever the amount is. And then once that building is made or constructed, that bond should be paid off. I believe our taxes should go down. We shouldn't have to continue to put into something that we've already paid off. But there's always something else that just continues to add to that. Those are the comments that I just would like to see. I have entered the senior citizen age group now, and I'm a little concerned. I take care of my father, who's 94. I pay his property tax. I pay my property tax. And what used to be what I felt like was affordable of $1,500 to $2,000, it now runs to $4,000 for my house and almost $4,000 for his home. It just becomes nearly unbearable as we budget, and somebody else had mentioned that we budget over the course of that period of time. I have a holding account that I always just put money into the holding account each month. So by the time November rolls around and I have to pay my property tax, I've got enough money there. But then all of a sudden you're hit with an extra $1,000, and I just can't bring that up out of thin air. And I know that other people are faced with the same difficulties. I just wanted to mention that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vince.
Colton from Spanish Fork. Couple things. I don't have a prepared speech as well, but it is not just the older generations that are hurting. It's us younger ones, and we are also going to be the ones that are saddled with that burden for longer when you guys are not here. I don't see how hard it is to cut spending. I doubt that you guys are so perfect that every single program that you have is necessary. I also don't see how you guys can look at us with a straight face
after asking for raises when we are, what was it, 12 million in deficit? How does that happen? If I were to do that at work, I'd be fired. You got a budget, you got to cut. We don't expect the government to provide us for everything that makes us lazy and weak. We can manage for ourselves. I don't see how I don't see how you continue this, especially to give yourself raises. I mean, it seems to me that you guys spend as much time looking at the budget as you do allowing us to comment. We'd like some answers. It's not just these older people here that are going to deal with this. It's us that are going to be dealing with it in the long term. It's pathetic. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's James Nilsson. I've lived in several of the cities in the county for 18 years or so. I wanted to use a form of comparison. I'm just a simple person. I'm not very fancy. I'm not very educated. But I do know how to hold a budget, stick to a budget, and what's more, get out of debt. So, many years ago, my wife and I were living the way many young people do without care, and we did accrue quite a bit of debt. We're very stupid about our money at the time. We did come to a realization that we could not continue on that process. It's very similar to what's happening here. We're in a lot of debt. 12 million is nothing to shake a stick at. So how do you get out of debt? As a simpleton like myself, usually that involves, well, A, you have to create a budget. Congratulations, that's what you do. But next you have to stick within that budget. And when you create that budget, at least as a simpleton, family guy, there was a lot of cuts that we had to make. And I'm talking about everything. No more times were mommy and daddy allowed to just get things that they wanted to have. Mommy and daddy in this situation is you. You don't get anything else more. You stay with the budget, you cut things out, and you stick to it. And the most important part of this is it's a long and hard process. It's not easy. It's not easy for you. It's not easy for the people, the county either. And as much as we can help each other out, that is the only way that we're going to go forward and make this a more efficient and better process. Thank you for your time.
James.
Thanks, James.
Anyone in health and justice? We do have 1, 2, okay, that are going to.
Hello, Commissioner Gordon. I'm Lisa Shepard, Commissioner Tom Sakovich's Senior Policy Advisor. I've been asked by Commissioner Gordon's Policy Advisor to read this on behalf of Jade and Julie Henderson, Devin and Lindsay Advalson, and Andrew Henderson. Despite statistical rationalizations, the fact remains that, like schools, this county's spending is outpacing its revenue, which itself has continued to grow from soaring property valuations, surging property developments, and from honest revenue sources like sales taxes on actual sales, which is also growing from rapid population increase. The justification that more people demand more services in their facilities shows that instead of managing spending to grow a little less than the increasing revenue, county administration is rationalizing the overspending that keeps outpacing growth and actual costs. Better management would acknowledge economies of scale and reduce per capita and per property costs from already increasing revenue. For example, every single home that is moved into and starts paying more taxes does not require another garbage truck or police, etc. The physical growth should far outpace the needed services since it's more cost-effective to service a whole row of houses than a long street with one home, as an example. At the same time, local government continues to cut its own revenue by subsidizing from tax receipts more of the growth that is said to cause more spending. That sounds like a sham. So stop incentivizing growth with waived or handed out tax receipts, such as those through community reinvestment agencies, CRAs. It would also mean that administration should reduce the big projects until growth affords it, not before. It's called living within our means today, instead of soaking today's homes and livelihoods for higher spending on the future. Let the future finance itself while we fund only what we already have funds coming in to afford. That is what your residents have to do, cut the spending to not exceed the growth of revenues. Thank you. Again, this is from Jade and Julie Henderson, Devin and Lindsay, Ed Valson family, and Andrew Henderson.
Thank you. Alice has one to read.
Yes, thank you. I'm reading a comment from Emily Anderson. Utah County is the only county in Utah requesting a tax increase right now, and the county already significantly increased taxes in 2019, although that was cut back sometime later. I don't understand why the county needs to increase taxes so significantly and why budgeting and cutting back at the county level would not be a feasible alternative, possibly paired with a more reasonable increase in taxes. Property values have increased at least some over the last few years, and there have also been a lot of new building projects that should be helping your budget grow to meet or at least get closer to the inflation rate. If the raise were just due to inflation as well, it should match inflation at between 5 and 15%. Looking at the 2023 budget for the county is not in debt and seems to have the money it needs to match the demands for the year. I read the list of items noted by the Lehigh Free Press as reasons the taxes are increasing. As someone often observing in courtrooms, I acknowledge the heavy costs of public defenders and county attorneys, although I have not seen the need for more county attorneys. And I acknowledge that wages and costs have gone up elsewhere, but it is going up even more at grocery stores and in utilities for your average resident that you are asking now to pay more. I was recently on an HOA board and we thought our only choice was to raise dues, but after some pushback, we were able to keep the dues the same and find ways to cut back on things we hadn't considered. I'm simply hoping you take this second look to see if there are other ways costs could be cut. Small things can add up and save money. Please find ways to cut back. Based on the list of items in the article, I would suggest trying to share office space with the Provo City building built recently that is way too big for the city's needs, or allowing people to work from home instead of using office space. I would also suggest waiting on things like a capital improvement plan while we are all being so financially impacted by inflation. A budget could set aside some money for this each year and move forward when enough is saved without charging more. The budget shows your biggest expenses by far are sheriffs and health. I don't have the exact budget numbers, but I can imagine each of these departments could still function with a smaller budget. Please try your best to budget on your end rather than passing the problem down to each individual, many of which are less able to deal with the additional cost. This raise plus one requested by the Alpine School District will definitely cause a raise in rental prices in addition to be an added stress on homeowners. Thank you for listening, Emily Anderson.
Thanks, Alice. Anyone else from Health and Justice Building? Okay, seeing none, we'll come back here.
Hi, my name's Jeff from Lehigh. I don't know about you guys. I think I'm sensing a theme in the room. Maybe you've caught that. You had addressed a number of items that make your budget difficult, and it's understandable. Costs of things have gone up. That reality exists for us too. Our budgets are also becoming very difficult to manage with rising costs. Adding a tax increase during this time makes things much, much harder. Please do your best. Do everything you can to try to figure out ways to do less with less instead of do the same with more. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so I think that some of us will, it's a school night, but reasonable hour at 8 o'clock. So if you have any further questions, we'll